everybody, what's up? Don Carr here, and today I'm with Fred Green from Martin, and we have a bunch of new cool stuff from Martin for 2023. Fred.
Don, how are you, buddy?
Good, man. Good to see you, dude.
Glad to be here.
Yeah. Nice for you to be here, definitely. So let's begin, shall we?
Let's
what
do
we
it.
got?
Well, we've got a lot of new stuff. 2023 is upon us.
Yeah.
And we're ready to get rolling on some new things. Everybody's always looking for something new from Martin. So we kind of put our head to it and decided we were going to come up with some satin guitars. We thought that would be really different for us, and satin stuff in our standard product lines, which would be really cool. So what you're holding in your hands is a satin D18, a little special. We can bring it in 3 different flavors for you. We have an aged. We also have a plain top, and then we have a sunburst top. So you can have it your way, however you see it. Whatever your jam is, whatever speaks to you personally. Inside the guitar, it's essentially a D18 through and through. D18 specs, inside, outside, the way it plays. And we're really just sort of talking about a visual change from the full gloss.
Right. Yeah, the satin and then the different tops and stuff.
Correct.
Okay, so we were talking about the process for the tops. This is pretty slick, man.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Really is.
We're really trying to do something different, and we're trying to be price conscious to give you an opportunity to sort of get into these iconic models, maybe at a price point where you couldn't do it in the past. So that's some of the thinking that went along here. We know we have a lot of people who want to do a sunburst. In the past, we would have an upcharge for that, and we have a lot of people who want sort of an aged look to the guitar. But those, it's expensive.
Yeah.
It gets pricey. It's a lot of handwork.
Yeah.
And in this particular case, what we've been able to do is we've come up with a new process in order to give you that aesthetic, give you that vibe, but at a price point where it's attainable. And in this particular case, we're using a printer to essentially print on the top of the guitar, an actual wear pattern from a pretty famous guitar in our museum. Some people may be familiar with, some people might not be familiar with. But if you come out to the museum, you'll be able to pick it out real quick. You'll know where it comes from.
Yeah, I think there are probably a few people out there that might already know it. But in any case, so that's cool. So this is the exact top of that guitar, a picture of the exact top of that guitar.
Correct. And some people may get confused in the idea that, you're printing on it, you're printing on paper or something, and there's some old ways people used to do some printed stuff.
Yeah.
It's actually not like that at all. This is actual on the wood, nothing in between the printed piece, the actual ink or paint or whatever you want to call it on the top, and the wood itself. So as you play it and you work your way through it, it's just wood underneath there. It's just right on top of it like paint would be. In fact, it's actually thinner than our normal finish.
Interesting. Yeah, well, and with the satin too, it's even less. You know what was interesting to me when I first saw it, I didn't know anything about the process, and I was like feeling it. I was like, oh, wait a minute, you can kind of feel the wood in there. It's like, is this really how they do? Is this what is this?
It's really interesting. We had the concept, and people have used printed tops and printed things, and it's being used throughout the industry. Other brands are using to do different things, such as just color, or maybe give you an idea of faux binding or something on an instrument. And we had the idea we were sitting around, I said, I just wonder if I could make it look like an aged top. Is that possible? And in all honesty, it was kind of a lark in the beginning. We were like, all right, let's go take a picture. Let's do it. Let's see if we can make it happen. And then when we put it on there, we were like, wow, that looks great. And it really gave you the 3D effect.
Yeah.
That it looks like it's real wear on there. And it gives you that vibe. And sort of what drove us to it is every time we walk into a guitar store, you have brand new guitars and everything's shiny and everything kind of looks similar. Everybody has a blonde top, and for the acoustics anyways. And you see that one old vintage guitar sitting there, as we were talking earlier. What's the first guitar you walk over and pick up?
Yeah, exactly.
So the psychology of that, what's driving you to want to grab that guitar for some reason as opposed to a brand new guitar? And there's something there that's warming or connecting about it. And so trying to give you that vibe and that feel in a brand new guitar with a new warranty, and all the things that come with it, was sort of the why behind what we chose to do. And there were some, little things we had to work through, like we had to change the pick guard a little bit. On a new guitar, the pick guard would be real shiny. So when we had a shiny pick guard on this, obviously it just looked out of place. So we had to find a way to make the pick guards look a little more worn and do some of those things. But other than that, what you're holding in your hands is a tried and true D18 through and through.
Man, it sure sounds great. Plays great too. Really does. So now I have a D28, and it's, let me check on this, it's the same thing, right? It's basically
Correct.
the same concept.
Same design philosophy as we talked about with the 18s.
Right.
You can get it 3 different ways: regular plain, all satin with sunburst, or all satin with an aged aesthetic to it. Other than that, it's a D28. The bones of it are a D28 inside and out. Same as you would expect from our regular D28 models in full gloss.
Nice, nice. Yeah, and this one, what's interesting about this too is compared to the 18 that we looked at, so it does have a little bit of marks on it and, you know, a little bit of age sort of look to it, but not nearly as much. And there was a funny story that you told me about this earlier.
Yeah, it is different. And we wanted to showcase that we could do different looks and different values of it. And as we were sort of doing the research and we're looking through, and if you've been to the museum, you've been out to the factory, and so we have probably one of the largest collections of vintage Martins in the world. So
as it should be.
As it should be.
Right?
Who else should have it other than us? And we're looking through all the 28s and all the 18s, and we're trying to find interesting tops or different things to take pictures of and kind of take a look and see what we want to recreate. And a pattern started to arise, and we never really thought about it, but the 28s were not nearly as beat up as the 18s. All the 18s just look like they've been drugged behind a truck, you know, really worn. And the 28s were pretty well cared for the most part. Obviously played and played hard, but not to the extent of the 18. So we're wondering, you know, what's the reason behind that? And I think as we were talking, our only philosophy on this is that the 18s were at the lower part of the price point. 28s cost a little more. So I think in many cases, people kind of got into the Martin brand and some of those old guitars through an 18. And then as they sort of traded up, they handed the old 18 to somebody else, and it got played pretty hard early on in its life. Just took a little bit more of a beating.
Right, right. And the 28s were like, well, this is the prize. We got to keep this in the case and store it under the bed.
Exactly.
Don't let the kids play with it.
That's right. This became Dad's guitar,
Yeah.
and then the kid got the 18, and he went and was ripping around on it pretty hard. So this particular top, the story on this is, I'm walking around through our repair department, and we get lots of old guitars in to fix and repair, and somebody sent in a guitar that had a really interesting top. I said, wow, that's a pretty good looking 28 top. I said, let's get a picture of that top. And unbeknownst to the consumer, his guitar look is on the top of this guitar.
Nice.
It's just a beauty. And you know, we could go in there and sort of play around and move things and color correct some stuff. For the most part, I think this is pretty representative of what an old 28 wear pattern is, because it is a real old wear pattern, but of the kind of stuff we were seeing throughout our museum and from consumers sending stuff into us.
Yeah.
It's a really cool guitar.
Wow, that's super interesting, man. Well, and again, it's a D28, so you know it sounds good.
Yeah, well, let's hear it. I want to hear it.
So now I have a 000 Junior with a cutaway.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
this is interesting.
That's a really cool guitar. So for people, maybe not everybody's familiar with our junior line. In this particular case, this is sort of a scaled down 000. So the geometry is like a 000. We just shrank it down a little bit. Some people call it a travel size. I don't like to call it travel size. I prefer to call it like a short scale. It's a 24-inch scale.
Oh, okay.
All right, which makes it really, really easy to play. It's solid wood, you know, which makes it different than some other short scale guitars in this price point. What we did different with it this year, for the first time, we kind of give it our Streetmaster finish, which gives it a little worn look. In the past, we've done that primarily on our 15 series out of Nazareth, made in the USA products, which are quite a bit more money than this particular guitar. People really like that look. It's very bluesy. It's just sort of warm. It's a great couch guitar.
Yeah.
Plays great, sounds great. It's got our retro strings on it. Like I said, it's super comfortable with that short scale, and just a really sweet little guitar, and comes with pickup and that cutaway. So if you're a person who really is looking for that style, then this fits the bill.
Boy, it sure does, man. I like the rosette. Really pops, man. That's
it does.
That's a good look against this, and that you're right. Warm. That's the best word. That really is. It's just a great look. When you told me the price, I was like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah. It's a really attractive price point for a solid wood Martin. And when you play it, you get that really typical small body Martin sound that you're looking for, that you could pay a lot more money to get a guitar to sound this good. So
yeah,
we're really happy with it.
No kidding. Let's check it out, man. Let's do.
Play it, man. I want to hear it.
Okay, well, here's something different. A short scale bass.
Yeah, that is really different from Martin. This is something we've never done before. We've done acoustic basses before. Yeah. I think some people will recognize our 16 bass and some other stuff that we've done. Full scale basses. Full scale acoustic basses are problematic. They can be a little difficult. They feel long. They just don't seem that comfortable a lot of times. Recently, people have kind of gotten into these short scale basses. Some people, as I said, like with the guitars, call them travel basses or something like that. But once again, it's more of just a short scale bass. I sat down with the team. We said, you know, they came to me and basically said, hey, we want to try bass. I says, well, there are people out there kind of already doing that. I'm okay with you going down that road if you want to try it. That's cool. If you want to bring me something, that's fine. But what I need you to do is I need you to go out, buy some other basses that other people are doing. And if you can design something that's the minimum as good, but preferably better than, then I'll green light the project and we'll see what we can do. So they came back with a concept, made some protos, and lo and behold, I think we locked into something where we were able to sort of improve, you know, stand on the shoulders of giants of what other people were already doing. So we're going to offer this short scale 24-inch scale bass and a triple O cutaway, and then we're going to do a D also. So if you want a full size, not a full size, but if you want a D junior size bass, we're going to offer that also. Pickups in them. They sound great. We had to design our own string to go with the bass, and this is a key component of how we made these sound a little better.
Yeah, that's where I was going with this, because one of the first things was the tension. The tension is right.
Yeah, see, you called it. You picked up on it right off the bat. We thought that some of the issues that we were seeing with some of the other basses in the marketplace was that the tension was a little too low. It would get a little floppy sounding, flutter around a bit. In some cases, the strings had such low tension on some models that it almost felt like they wanted to roll off in your hands. They were hard to hold. So we developed our own string. It has that nylon core within a wrap around that, and it's at a higher tension. And we feel like that really helps the guitar project a lot more than some other attempts that we had made. We're also going to offer those strings, so you can buy them and put them on other people's instruments if you want to do that also, and try it out, see if you like it or not. But we think they sound great. These are Sapelli back and side, spruce tops. Just really fun to sit around and noodle. I mean, every time we give one to somebody, all they do is sit around and play constantly. So
well, and with a pickup too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So then you're off in a completely different world with that, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
But I'm just shocked at how loud they are acoustically.
They are really loud. For a small instrument, it's all relative, but they're pretty loud.
Yeah, you see this and you don't expect to hear what you're about to hear.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. I'm a functional bass player. I'm enough of a bass player to know that I'm not a bass player, right?
Yeah, well, you're like me on that.
Yeah, I'm a guitar player, but I do understand what bass is supposed to do, and man, this does this.
That's awesome.
Crazy sounding.
It just sounds great. And it keeps up, you know, when you play with guitar, it really does keep up.
Yeah.
And that's not easy to do with these acoustic basses these days. So we're really, really happy. And we think people are going to have a lot of fun with it. And the bass community's been a little ignored a little too long in the acoustic world. So we want to give them something to have fun with.
There you go. And super convenient because it's so small and easy to play. For guitar players, the easy transition, you know, because the string spacing, or the fret spacing, I should say, is, you know, so much closer.
You know, you make a really good point. Yourself, like me, we're not really bass players by trade, so to speak. But when you're at home recording and you want to record and you want to do a little bass work, This is something that's really easy to transition into, and you don't feel like you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm just so not used to this giant neck.
Right, playing another instrument.
Correct.
I mean, it feels a little closer to home.
Exactly,
You
and
know?
you can kind of functionally get through it and lay down your own tracks with an instrument like this, and not feel like you're pretending.
Yeah, nicely done, man.
Thank
Great
you
stuff.
so much. I appreciate it.
Fred, thanks so much, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me out.
Man, thanks for coming out and bringing all these really cool instruments, man. This
My
is great
pleasure.
stuff.
My pleasure. I don't get out here enough. I wish I could get out here more often. And just,
Agreed.
they don't let me out of the factory very often.
You're busy working, man.
No, they're ashamed of me probably more than anything.
No, I doubt it, man. No, seriously, thanks so much. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Click here for more videos like this, or start at sweetwater.com for all your music instrument and pro audio needs.